Hello everyone and welcome back to Unity of Command. This is the campaign scenario Dawn Offensives from the Soviet campaign of the main game. January 13th, 1943. Stavka continues to mount strategic offensives without any respite. Axis position on the Don is falling apart and Soviets expand their objectives, now including the city of Kursk, deep in the German rear. Alright, this is the fourth scenario of the campaign in chronological order, and when I first tried this campaign I actually finished the first four scenarios in one sitting, so in one gaming session. This one is a bit tricky. It's the first one that yields 600 points on this campaign, so it's somewhat it's relatively difficult or moderately difficult. As you can see already in first glance, the Axis forces number numerically equal the Soviet forces, which is a rare sight. As the Soviets get 2 partisan actions and 1 bridging action per turn. I never used the bridging action, and the partisan action was not very useful either. Let's take a look at the map. Alright. So it's not a very large map, as you can see, and we have 3 objectives to hit. The first 2 are identically named, called Bridgehead, and the text itself is the same for both. It says Oskol Bridgehead, jump off position for Operation Star. Right? We need to capture these bridgeheads by the end of turn 3, and this actually must be done by turn 3. I don't think you could capture it later anyway. And then we have the city of Kursk. The Germans will only attempt to retake this town in the summer, and then with disastrous consequences. Right, so somebody could predict the future, as ostensibly here. So yeah, so this is the tricky one in this scenario, because the way it works is that actually the map should be divided into like the front sectors, or 2 sectors rather, because of the river. Voronezh is held by an entrenched standard infantry unit. You cannot remove this with anything in the vicinity, and the supply position runs through here. So basically, the way it works is that you have 2 areas where you need to assault. The first one is in the south, where there are only auxiliaries, mainly Hungarians, as well as some Italian relatively elite Alpini troops, which have at least 2 defensive stats, so they are a tiny bit better than the standard Italian troops, along with a few Germans, of course. So you need to make a breakthrough and capture these bridgeheads, whereas on the north you can only use these limited forces to try to cause some damage and try to slowly crawl your way towards Kursk. Now, I know perfectly well what needs to be done in the south, but I'm not sure that my strategy, the one that I pursued, is the intended route in the north. I got relatively lucky with one, and it didn't seem very stable, so you might be able to perform better. I never figured out how to win cleanly in the north. This was like the 5th try or so it's not perfect by any means, but in the south I got it figured out, at least, so you have at least half of the map cleaned out for you. If you watch this replay, if you watch this video, then you will know what to do in the south. Alright, so terrain, we have the Don River, but it's partially behind us. The really interesting part is these bridges, so one here connecting the north to the south, and the other one around Voronezh. Other than that, we need to consider the Oskol River. This is going to be also crucial, because the bridgeheads are obviously on the other side of the river, and currently they're empty. But the AI, we all know that the AI will immediately try to occupy them with a strong unit nearby, with the strongest unit available. Now let's look at the supply, because that is also very interesting. So first of all, the AI only has 1 supply source with a range of 12 that runs from the northwest where the supply line enters the map, which means that it's already basically insufficient to get to the extreme southeast to some of its forces. And I kept thinking that the key to this map would probably be cutting off the AI supply route somehow, some way. Maybe at Kursk, maybe a bit, maybe directly at the source. But I never managed to do. And actually, I literally never managed to do that. You can cut off small amounts of units or even bigger amounts of units, but I never managed to just eliminate the supply source and thereby win the map like that. Our supply is pretty interesting. So we have a supply source on the road, on the supply line, with a range of 8, and you'd think that that is great, that it that it solves all our problems, but it's not really the truth. It's going to be sufficient in the south, obviously, where the supply line goes, and so it's enough for you to capture everything, south of the on the southern half of the map. But as it runs through the city of Voronezh, which once again you literally cannot take for a long while at least, the western ones have to rely on this supply source, which has a range of 4, so it's very weak, and it's in a really unfortunate position. We also have one in the extreme southeast to supply our front line there. So what I was forced to do as a basic strategy is to win here in the south, then propel my units to the north, resupply there kind of, and then assault Kursk. All that within 5 turns, because Kursk needs to be taken by the end of turn 5. So so you will see how it happened, but once again, in the north it's not very clean. In the south, what you have to understand is that a lot of these units are partially depleted. For instance, this German one, and the 2 key units are these here, especially the first armored Hungarian Panzer unit, which is fast enough. It can move 4+2 hexes on one turn to occupy one or I think either, so it can occupy both of these victory hexes. It can decide which one to occupy, and if it manages to get behind the river and kind of dig in there, then it's going to be practically impossible to dislodge it. It also has a Stuk 3 specialist step attached to it, which makes it extremely powerful, but for the first turn it is suppressed. So what that means is that this unit must be destroyed on turn 1, or at the very least beaten down to like 1 step or something. So it must be severely crippled at the very least if you want to win. If you cannot cause huge casualties to this one unit on turn 1, then you have lost the map, because it will occupy one of the victory axes and you won't be able to dislodge it in time. There is this other German unit called Kramer rather, and this one also has a suppressed Stuk 3, so if you manage to destroy that one, then it's far easier on turn 1. It also has a suppressed step as well, a standard step as well, so it's far easier to destroy it now than later. So the idea is that we force a breakthrough here around the supply lines. We also force a breakthrough in the south. It's easier to do in the south if you cut through these Italian units, which are half suppressed and they're weak anyway. But save your fastest and best units to break through and hit the AI where it hurts, so these units, and try to connect up to the road. Then the southern part of the front line becomes inconsequential and the AI is going to retreat. You definitely have the tools that you need here. So you have veteran units with specialist steps. These tank units are excellent with Katyushas attached, so they're really powerful. And since there are many auxiliaries on this map on the AI side, you can actually accumulate a lot of kills, and it's relatively easy to get them up to elite status, so elite rank. We also have this Cavalry Corps, which is also not bad. It has a Katyusha, it's veteran, it has 7 standard steps. So use these units. Just on the other side of the Don, we have this also excellent unit. It's a veteran infantry unit with a Katyusha attached. And so use these units well. And also don't be afraid to use your units with specialist steps. Be mindful of the guns, only shoot before moving. You have these units that you can disband or reorganize and then reorganize into other units, preferably in the north. Around Voronezh, try to hold the front line. If you don't do it, there is a bridge intact here, and the AI is going to cut you off. So you cannot leave these these two hexes unoccupied. And in the northwest, I had one very simple strategy: cut through here because that is where my guns surround one single unit. Cut through here and try to walk towards the southwest and threaten there. And then see how it unfolds. Eventually, so our units from the south would reinforce the ones in the north, and with a combined assault on Kursk, let's hope it all works out as well. As for enemy unit allocations, in the northwest there are standard German divisions which are entrenched. Be careful of these ones, so a direct assault is not really recommended. Use your guns, they're really good if you haven't moved them. In this unit you cannot dislodge, so don't even worry about it. In the middle sector there are Hungarians. They are totally worthless. They are not even entrenched, so with one attack and one defense stat, they're nothing. The Italians don't fare much better, to be honest, so they have 2 defense, but that's it. As I've said, these units are depleted, and they have some interesting units in the south. This German infantry division has 3 steps and a Stuck 3 attached, which is active. And there is the Group Fegelein in the extreme south, which nominally has 4 steps, but 2 of them are suppressed, plus that Sonderkraftfahrzeug 250 reconnaissance specialist step attached, which is active. This is a relatively powerful unit. Wait until it runs out of supply, which it eventually will, and then you can just wash it off the map. Alright, so let's see how this works in practice. So we remove the weakest Italian unit, and this is actually, sorry, this is the weakest Italian unit. We send this unit forward to occupy zones of control, and now we occupy another zone of control and cause grievous casualties. And now we can send this tank unit, which has never done anything, to destroy and overrun that the Hungarian tank division. Now with that done, our main objective has been achieved with this unit destroyed. The AI cannot occupy the victory axis this turn. It actually cannot cross the river, so it will stay on our side of the Oskol River, which is what we want. So now it's time to break through along the supply route. Even attacking across the river with a gun against Hungarians is pretty easy, so it's not dangerous at all. But sometimes the Hungarians can be pretty dangerous, so be careful about that as well. And I really want to destroy this unit now, because as I've said, it will be extremely powerful the next turn, so I allocate my tank division to do just that. Now that one unit is removed, and I don't foresee any dangers here. In the south, I move my units to the north a bit, so in the extreme south, so that we occupy the victory axe, sorry, not the victory axe, the supply source hex. In the past, I've had instances where the AI just pushed there and captured it, and these units would be cut off. It's not a tragedy on turn 1, but then you might limit your own movement on turn 2 and subsequent turns, because you would have to pay very close attention to the supply situation, and this is not difficult to do, so that's why I did it. These units are not important. You can remove them. Even if the AI moves across the river, then it's gonna fall anyway. It's not really dangerous or anything, so you can remove them and add them to other units. Alright, so this looks perfect. Nothing here can threaten us, and I'm quite positive we can capture these 2 victory axes on turn 3. Let's turn to the north. As I said, my brilliant strategy involved breaking through here, which is not going to be very difficult. It might be a bit costly, but not hugely costly either, actually. So now that unit is breached and it's retreated, now even the weakest unit can destroy it. We actually have, interestingly, some anti-tank guns here, which is not really that great, attached to units with 4 steps. So these units are extremely weak. Don't use them for anything else than mopping up. The only armored unit on the Axis side was the Hungarian unit that we removed. So don't be fooled. This specialist step doesn't mean much against infantry. It confers some defense, which is not that great, not as great as you would think, and literally nothing else. So the shift applies only to armor, and so no attack, extra attack, steps, whatever. So So don't count on these units. These are actually weaker than your average standard infantry unit. All right. So we try to we connect up. Not that it's very important. And since you can always reallocate or reorganize, I think 5 units on 5 steps. Sorry, 5 steps on a single turn. I reorganize another unit, but I leave the third one be because that would only arrive on turn 3 anyway. So we have time to reorganize it. We will eventually do that, but there is no need to remove it from the map. It's not like it's in any danger or anything like that. All right. I just do some reshuffling. I don't know why I put that unit there. I know why I put this unit there. It's actually not a bad idea. This unit got damaged, so it's weaker than the others, but it still has that infantry gun, which is quite an asset. And we need to have a contiguous conga line from the supply source, because the AI will capture it, and then you probably won't be able to recapture it, and then you will have lost the map. These units won't. All of these units will be out of supply, and then you will just lost. So I sit something there, and I think this unit fits the bill perfectly. It's not our best unit, so I don't mind missing it from the front, but it should be able to defend itself somewhat. So a direct assault would be relatively costly. I use the partisans here. Now this is pretty silly. There is no supply coming in from here. I didn't know how to use it, so you can cut them off here, and then probably some of these units would be out of supply. Maybe that would have been a good idea to connect up to the river, our territory. But the Hungarians would probably still be in supply anyway. I don't think we would have cut off more than a couple of these German units, so it's not that big a deal, by the way. But I tried to cut off their supply source with this, and it has worked out in the past. But then the AI immediately moves a unit there to recapture the territory, so it's not really worth it. What I tried to do was I tried to lure the AI to mop up here, and so dedicate one unit here to this worthless area. It didn't work out, so I don't know how you should use the partisans. I'm pretty sure it's part of the intended strategy, but I never figured it out. So anyway, the AI of course tries to occupy the victory axis. It can immediately occupy Kursk, and it's trying to build up a front line. That goes relatively well. Now, seeing that this front line is broken through, there is no point in holding the Don anymore, so the Hungarians retreat into a cohesive front line. But so this would look scary if these were German units, and we had only 2 further turns to capture these hexes. But these are Hungarian units. They're totally worthless, so we don't care. And yeah, so at the beginning of our turn 2, everything from our side is in supply, which is great. Some of the AI units are not, so that's also great. And and now we need to move through the Hungarians and just capture these 2 victory axes. That's the priority, because we need to capture these hexes the next turn. But if we don't cause enough casualties, then, or if we don't prevent them from doing so, then they will walk in and hold a better position from behind the Oskol River. So we don't want that. Now I tried try to use the partisans again. Again, I don't think it was a good idea to do that, but I really don't know how it should be done. And now let's mold the Hungarians. This is always fun. And yeah, it's not, once again, it's not really difficult to cut through them. Now, at this moment, this unit is obviously too weak. 2 steps or below doesn't confirm any zones of control. But this unit also retreated, so it's also considered weak and doesn't use any area of control. So we can just use one of our tank divisions to capture this one. This will be kept safe. Nothing that the AI can do will be able to recapture it. Anyway, their best 2 units in the area won't even be able to attack, because they will run out of supplies, so they're totally worthless. But even if they could attack, this tank would hold its ground, so that's 100% certain. Now let's try to go for the northern victory axe. And yeah, so the Hungarians are still okay-ish if they get lucky like this. So that was pretty surprising. And of course, if your unit is nothing special. But against our best units, they just melt away, so they're literally totally worthless. Yeah, so you can overrun them one after the other. Yep. And accumulate kills, which is very important. This unit is now literally 2 KIA away from obtaining elite level, so that's actually excellent. We bullied the Italians, but as you know, these Alpini units defend themselves a bit better. And I tried to cut these, I managed to cut these units off, and I hope that they will be able to, we will be able to remove them. I tried to get into like sieging positions, but this unit is not going to be enough to assault the one in the city, so don't even hope for that. You need to have these 2 hexes occupied, otherwise they will move out and cut you off, and that's not nice. And I also removed the final unit behind the Don in the southeast, so we can reorganize its steps. Now we need to rush as quickly as we can. And yeah, in the north I just try to have favorable trades, but it's not really working out that well. And I'm also reinforcing my units there, because obviously this is where the real fight is going to take place, or the final battle. Yep. And I was a bit sad that we already used up our partisans, because this way I had to move here to cut them off. But as of this moment, all but these 5 German units in the northwest are cut off from supply. Unfortunately, this is not going to matter much, because we need to win faster than they're going to run out of steam. So, yep. Alright, turn 2 for the AI. Nothing in the extreme south can attack. These units are practically lost. They can defend themselves still, but as they cannot attack, they cannot really move into any worthwhile position, so it's all good. In the middle, their situation looks pretty bleak, but they're holding Voronezh pretty strongly, and the area around Kursk is very well held, so currently our forces are incapable of capturing the city, and the AI knows it. It moves its best unit into this victory hex. We need to capture it the next turn, so this is something to consider, because we need to remove this and move into this hex that is beyond the river, so it might prove a bit costly. Fortunately, it is not dug in, and it is an empty hex, so it's a clear hex. It's not a city, it's not even a forest or anything, so the defenders get no bonuses whatsoever. And they cut us off, which was actually a pretty smart move. I didn't expect that, but that was the best the AI could do with these half-dead units anyway. So, so yeah, this was actually a pretty smart move. It means that practically all of our units will be out of supply, cut off from supply on turn 3. And that's not a problem on the turn 3, but it will become a problem on the subsequent turns. So this is not ideal, to put it mildly. Yeah, around Kursk, they know what to do. They form a cohesive front line. Here they just want to protect the victory objective as best they can. And the Kursk garrison digs in, which I wasn't happy about, but there was nothing I could do about it. So, yep. So things are not going well here. In the south, we need to recapture our supply route. The SS unit, the group of Vega line, still had the reconnaissance unit active, so our first assault is not going well, but now that's removed, and now it's totally worthless, so let's kill it. Let's kill it faster. Yep, now it's done. We remove this poor unit with 1 step. And now I'm kind of okay. I feel kind of okay. Nothing is threatening this area at all, so I'll worry about it later. Let's capture the victory hex. Yep, that worked out well so far, but we still need to claw our way through there. Fortunately, this unit is extremely weak. Let's occupy some zones of control, and yep, let's attack its best, one of its better units as well. And yep, and it's done. Now, at this moment, this unit has turned elite, which is awesome. Unfortunately, it won't be able to attack on the next turn, so that's pretty sad. And this unit got to the north, but it's still out of supply, just barely, unfortunately, so it also won't be able to attack the next turn, so these things are very disappointing. Now in the south, we remove this depleted weak German unit, and we move into position. And by position I mean this. Assault the Hungarians, destroy them. And just to make sure, I move to the 1 hex south. This is on the other side of the bridge. So If the AI wants to recapture this empty Victory Axe, then they would have to remove this unit first. It's not going to succeed. This unit is strong enough to defend itself, so the AI is not going to see. I don't think it's going to even try that. So we have one in the south. This is not very difficult to achieve if you follow my general strategy. You can even do it better, by the way. So let's remove whatever threats remain, and but that's basically it. I don't care about any further situation here. We are keeping this area secure for supply. The AI can cut us off again. I don't really mind that much. We are going to march north now, and these units are progressively going to become more and more worthless. So in the north, I think the best strategy is to try to cause some more damage. It's going very poorly, as you can see. So, but still, at least some things happen. We destroy one unit. That was basically it. And we remain in supply so that we can do something in the next turn as well. This was less impressive than I was hoping for, but again, I really don't know what we should be doing in the north. Removing one infantry unit per turn is obviously not ideal, but that's the best we can hope for. I'm waiting for the tanks to arrive, but they also need to refuel first, so that's also less than ideal. Alright, there is nothing we can do about that. Here they cut us off again. This was totally unsurprising. We are not in any danger, so they literally cannot attack. None of these units can attack. Most of them are totally depleted. Only this one unit has 3 active steps. And so if we can just, secure the victory axis and move to the north, then we're fine. So let's remove whatever is in the south, because those ones obviously don't pose any threat. Yep. And we're going to send the cavalry unit to the north to try to destroy the only unit of any significance. And this goes relatively well. Now this unit here around Voronezh, for some reason the AI left this unit here, I don't know why. This unit is entrenched, but it's already half depleted. So we sold it. And this is going well, perfectly, so we are going to try to remove it. The anti-tank gun is not helping us at all. So we finally manage, but that's really it. I actually wanted to reorganize this unit, but it was out of supply, so we couldn't. You can disband it, but not reorganize it. Here the AI moved up to our face, so that's actually great. Obviously, we can bully this unit. And I move against the victory axe on turn 4, which you might think is great, but it's actually pretty sad. This one unit by itself is not going to capture the victory axe, and we definitely need to capture it the next turn. That's our deadline, so that's not really great. All right, the tanks finally reach actually the supply, and I position them so that they're barely in supply, so we can still propel them forwards. Of course, these poor units won't be able to capture anything. We are holding the victory axis firm, and this unit will be totally depleted, but it can still move into the victory axe if need be. So I moved it to the west. All right, reinforcements are pouring in, and I couldn't put those reinforcing steps anywhere else. And since it was turn 4, this was the last time that I could assign them anywhere. So I gave them here just for fun, so we can remove the Voronezh garrison, which is totally depleted now, so it's not difficult. On our turn 5, these units are dead. This unit is dead, but the victory axe is quite well held, and with adequate forwards defenses as well. So let's see how it goes. While I'm thinking, I remove the units in the south, but it's not only that. I'm also making sure that the cavalry can move ahead more clearly, and it can. Since the cavalry cannot do anything else, I decide to attack with it. Not that it mattered much. And now let's remove Voronezh. This time, really, while I'm thinking. So, yep, that one is done. Now, theoretically, everything is in supply for us. But unfortunately, we don't have the time to celebrate this. We need to attack the city X, and this goes very, very poorly, as you can see. So I decide, since the first attack was pathetic, I decide to use our best unit. This unit has turned elite. It has accumulated 26 kills, by the way. It has 7 steps and a Katyusha, so this unit is by far the best unit on the battlefield right now, so nothing the Germans have even equal it. And this is what happened. Bang, 1 KIA. if it had conferred at least 2 KIA, then the entrenchment would be breached, and that would be something. But that didn't happen, so I was pretty disheartened. I thought I would have to restart this map again. But this unit managed to cause 2 suppress steps, which is kind of okay. This unit just suicided. And I keep throwing units at it because there is nothing I can do. Finally, this unit is totally depleted. It's still entrenched, but now we destroy it. And at this moment I know I have won. Finally, it was not easy, but this poor unit has not moved, so it can definitely march in. And so I decide to remove any and all Axis held areas from the map. This worked, so this partisan step didn't work out, but this one did. Whoop. And yep, then with our final move, final action, we move in here. We couldn't have attacked anything further, I think, so that was literally the end of the map here. This tank unit theoretically could have still attacked because it overran the defenders, but it couldn't have moved more, so that's also fine. It was also close to leveling up, by the way. We had quite a few units bogged down here. Probably I shouldn't have allocated so many units to Voronyezh. And it's quite futile to capture it. I don't think you can capture it sooner than I did. Maybe 1 turn sooner and then it will help. I don't know, not sure about that. But anyway, even if we were given another turn, then I'm pretty sure the AI wouldn't have been able to recapture the city. And then with our great supply situation and our great units, we would have removed these remaining straggler Axis units. So that's it for this map. Copy my actions in the south. I think they are pretty clean. I had a good strategy that worked out, that is reliable, worked out perfectly, and yeah, so and you can do it without any risks. So follow me on that front. And maybe the key is not losing your supply source like I did, and then you can use your tank. I had to give up on them for at least 1 turn when they were out of supply, so that might have been the difference. But anyway, then propel them forward to the northwest, and you have to have them assist in the assault on Kursk. As for the northwest, I'm quite confident that the initial breakthrough has to be done the way I did it, because that's the only part you can push through with reasonable chances. But how to do after that, how to proceed after that, I really have no idea. So this is what I did, but I'm not saying this is like the intended or this is the ideal strategy there. I was slowly crawling forward, and at least until the edge of my supply. And I also made sure that I destroyed like 1 infantry division per turn. And then when the tanks arrived, the defenses were weakened sufficiently so that we could push through and capture Kursk like this. That your tanks, these 2 tanks units are absolutely the keys to victory here. Once they gain elite level, then they are extremely strong, even though this underperformed in its final battle. Alright, that was the map Dawn Offensives. Now things are going to get really tough from here on out, so prepare for some challenges. I hope this video helped if you are struggling with this map. I thank you all for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.